Welcome to Lake Mendota.
So I like to put the 54 in this slot so that it goes away, and that way it's in reach of the skipper. So what we use that PFD4 for out on the lake is when a crew goes overboard, you toss that PFD4 out to the person on the lake. You might wonder why we do that if they're already wearing a life jacket. Well, most of it's for visibility. So you have something bright that's been thrown in the water near their last known location. And if you're out on the ocean, you might just toss a bunch of stuff overboard by their last known location because they'll drift similarly to wherever that person was, right? And then you can kind of follow that trail back to them. If you imagine, having really high waves on the ocean, you're not going to see like a little head just above the water very easily. So that's the idea with that. And then for rigging, I like to get the sail into the boat, and then we'll just grab, I believe your end is the open end, so grab the sail inside of there, and then I'm just going to pull it off like a sleeping bag. So you can just hold it there, and then I can just pull it off from here. And then we put these away into a box over here if you want to see where it is. Now we're going to unroll this main, and inside we'll find a jib. And then when you understand the rigging, you can do it really quickly in teams of two because you can rig up the jib and the main in parallel. So I'll walk you through each step separately today. So here's the jib sail. You can identify it by these metal hanks. And we'll bring that up to the bow and start rigging. So every line on a boat has a name. A halyard is a line that raises a sail, and a sheet is a line that trims a sail. So to find the jib halyard, you're just going to look up the mast here, and you see we've got one that goes all the way to the top. That's going to be the main halyard, and you see you've got one that goes right up to about the forestay on the mast there. That's going to be the jib halyard on a sloop. It's very important to not let the halyards go as soon as you unclip them, because if they get out of reach and it gets taken by the wind, that's called a skied halyard. It becomes really difficult to get them back. It involves getting somebody in a bosun's chair or something to get up this mast to grab that line. So always hold on to this. I'm going to bring that loose so I have some slack to work with. I'm going to go ahead and unclip the jib sheets as well. And I'm noticing that it's hard for me to get this off, so I'm just going to look at what sheets can I undo to make my job easier. So I'm going to undo these jib sheets, and there should be a blue one on the port side, yep. I'll get these nice and loose. Now that made my job easier because now this line's not rubbing on those, and I can walk it over to the head of the jib here. I'm going to go ahead and clip that on. And then the next thing to look for is that we want all of these clips parallel. So you see I oriented this way, so they've got to match. See that? Yep. Okay. Go ahead and do that. Then otherwise I just want to get this sail undone here so that it's not got any twists in it, and it's ready to clip on all those clips, those hanks, parallel. So what are the three corners of the sail? Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep, the head's the top corner.
On the main I know is at the mast, but I don't know where that is.
Yeah, so it's going to go head, tack, clew. And on the main it's the same, head, tack, clew. And then the three edges are the luff, leech, and foot. The foot is the edge opposite the head, so that's one way you can keep that one straight. The luff, we're going to go out there and I'm going to show you what luffing means, but it's basically whenever your sail's flapping a little bit or bagging. The luff is where the luffing starts, is one way you can keep that straight. So it's always toward the front of the boat on the jib and the main. And then, I don't actually know the origin of the leech, but it's just the last remaining edge of the sail here.
Yesterday they told me it was just the word edge, squishing together.
The word edge?
The word edge.
How does that make leech though? Where's the CH come from?
That's just what they said.
Interesting. Okay. So then we're going to take these and we're going to attach them to the clew here. So we have some jib sheets. I just want to make sure they're all untangled. We'll clip that on. And then I like to tie the sail down on the bow so it's not going to get wet. And it's secured until we're ready to use it. So how I like to do that, and you'll see a variety of ways. There are 144 instructors in this club. You'll get about 144 opinions on how to do everything. But here's why I like this way. So I take both lines, cross them under, and then cross them over. And I just tie a reef knot. And I like this because if you test it, this jib's not going to go in the water. It's secured to the bow. If you just take the ends of the lines, it's got some more slack and can possibly get wet. So that's good to go. Yeah, so there's a difference of opinion on this. I actually like to clip it into the metal ring if the wind's heavier. If it's really light, you can clip it onto the red string and you'll get some additional visibility because the jib will run a little higher. So in today's conditions, I think it'd be fine to clip it onto this red string. If it's heavier wind though, you want this on the metal because this string can break, yeah. So we'll go ahead and do the string today. Alright, and then there's our attachment to our clew, our head, and our tack. Any questions on the jib rigging? Cool. Let's do the main. And you can go ahead and step aboard the boat. I know with some of the dinghies, they don't like you to do that. On the Sloop, it's perfectly fine. So does anybody remember our handy dandy acronym when we're rigging up a dinghy for sailing on the land? Sure, yeah, that gets to a later concept. But what about, did anybody hear the acronym PMS? Plugs, main, sail? Okay. So you want to make sure you have the plug in. We'll be taking on water right away if we don't put that in there. Then you want to make sure the main sheet's free to run. So you got to undo your slip knot. And then we're going to loosen the main halyard and we're going to get this boom down. So if you trace this blue line to the mast, goes all the way down there on the port side. So go ahead and unclip it. And I've got it resting on my thigh here so that it doesn't just crash down onto the transom by the stern here. I'm going to gently lower it so that it rests. And then I can unclip it with there being no tension. And now we can start taking this mainsail and we're going to find the head, which you can identify the luff of the sail, which runs between the head and the tack, by this thick part here that'll feed into that divot on the mast. It's also got these 3 metal rings here, so that's how you can identify the head. So let's go ahead and start feeding that in, and we'll clip the main halyard on. Give that to you. Hold that, yep, good. That's locked. So you just want to turn it all the way so it's facing opposite where it would be open, right?
Yeah, I think it's locked. But then this one.
It was like sideways.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yep.
Alright, so now we've got it up a little bit. Just hoist it a little bit from this side. We're just going to feed it up about 1 foot. That should be good, and then go ahead and cleat that off on the port side, taking the slack through. Excellent. Alright, next thing is to get the clew attached. We've got to work our way around the sail here. We want to keep everything oriented correctly. We don't want to twist it. And you just simply attach this to that clip back there. And then let's just check that the sail is not twisted and it's ready to raise. So if we trace the luff here, goes all the way there, so it's ready to feed. And the foot looks good as well. Cool. So there's your land rigging. Now we got to get the boat in the water.
Subscribe for more smooth sailing content.